Are we live? Yeah, I think we are. Welcome, guys. You know that today is 21st episode of Grow with DePIN. Time runs. Big thank you note to Sid, Karsha, Parina. In the back end, they all work hard to ensure that we all are connected and we are working hard. And also you guys, because you are building, and that's why we're telling your story to the public. And I'm learning personally a lot when I'm hosting you guys. Omar and Esan are regular. Today we have our good friend Mauricio from Ex Machina. I met him in real life a lot, so which is very strange in blockchain, right? You meet people on chain, I mean on screen more than in real life. So this is good to see you and welcome. And we'll get to hear a lot of story about Ex Machina and partnership as well.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks. Let's do another in real life meeting in the next conferences.
Absolutely. And welcome, Martin. This is first time on our stream, so going to be fun knowing what you guys are building. The website already looks so good and with a lot of information, so I'm sure you have a lot of stories. Welcome, Ed. This is going to be your first as well, uh, and we are going to continuously host you as well. So, guys,
Absolutely.
2024, and not because the peak network has launched, was like a breakout year for Deepin, right? So many of you guys are building a lot of interesting things. But I felt that mainstream adoption has some blockage in it. It feels like we are trying to sell this to the Web3 community only, and not to the masses. And that's why the adoption is not what we would have liked. I would like to first know what's your thought on it. It could be your perspective, okay? But before we go forward with this, I would like to know a short introduction about you guys and about the project you're handling so that we can put something into perspective. Okay. So just raise your hand and go ahead. If no one goes, then that's Omar.
Martin was raising
Yeah, I
his
actually
hand.
just raised my hand.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
Martin, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, shout out to York and FarmSend for organizing a great AMA. It is a pleasure to be here. And my name is Martin. I am the ecosystem growth here at Orochi Network. So let me give a short introduction on Orochi. We are actually not a DePIN project. We are an R&D company, and we specialize in ZK-centric solutions. So we've been building quite a lot of products, and the flagship ones would include the ZK database and the ZKDA layer. So clearly, the ZK database is something that the DePIN projects can leverage very widely in the future. So yeah, I think that my knowledge on DePIN is actually, it must be like more limited than you guys, because you guys are actual DePIN projects, and we are like underlying providers of the tech for DePIN projects. So I am here to share my perspective, and I am here to learn. So it is great to be here.
Welcome, sir. And we definitely, I think all of the guys here must have already done a bit of research about you guys, and then ready to collaborate. But yeah, I'll go to Mauricio, ex machina, and by the way, he's not a robot. Okay, yeah,
Not yet, not yet.
yeah.
Yeah,
Prove you are
Mauricio.
a human first.
I don't know how to do that. I got to think about it. But yeah, Mauricio, one of the founding members at Ex Machina DAO. Ex Machina is an investment DAO trying to democratize access to physical AI. Currently, a lot of the companies that are really going to drive innovation and change the world over the coming years are private equity, private entities that really are inaccessible to your everyday investor, and we want to make a DAO that allows everybody to participate in the growth of physical AI, robotics, and and have a stake in the governance of those assets as well. So we invest into equity. Also machine RWA, so revenue generating machines, early stage DePIN and AI protocols, kind of advancing this physical AI open ecosystem. And we have an incubation and innovation hub as well, where people can co-develop these different types of assets. So that's a quick overview of what we're doing at Ex Machina.
Awesome, awesome. And most importantly, like we have already seen that there is a rise in machine economy. People are understanding the concept, and you have started looking at the financial aspect of the things, which are like, raising funds, tokenizing it, making it liquid. So do let us know some of the thought process before you stepped into it. What do you thought?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we believed as a team that physical AI was, or like just robotics in general, was basically going to be the most disruptive technology since the internet, right? It's going to be bigger product than vehicles. And we're essentially inviting like artificial agents into our physical world now, and there's going to be a lot of profound consequences. So we thought this had to be accessible to your everyday person, and they had to be included. Um, you're kind of seeing this right now with like ChatGPT and then DeepSeek, where there's like the closed version and then the open model. I think we're kind of starting to see that with robotics as well. And yeah, so this DAO is kind of pushing the decentralized side of this vertical, and helping to co-create and fund these different kinds of projects, and giving your everyday person access to this technology that is what we think is going to be breakthrough years in 2025, 2026, with advancements in AI, battery systems, scalable manufacturing processes. It's just something that your everyday person can't miss out on, you know? And so we want to big tooling and infrastructure so then we can actually co-own and co-govern these assets.
Just a small announcement, guys, in case you haven't looked at, FarmSend officially joined Ex Machina DAO. So we will try to contribute as much as we can, and we'll see that there is a growth. And I think together this is going to be good for the entire ecosystem, that we are encouraging robotics, AI, and some of the deep in aspects too early into the game. And I keep saying early for last 2 years, but we are still early, right? So,
Yeah,
all right, let's go to.
yeah, super excited. I just want to say thank you for joining the DAO, contributing to the Genesis auction before you move on, and super excited to like drive ag tech with you guys.
Anything for you, my friend. We will hear Omar next. Omar, who's always a regular, but always with a new perspective. Tell us about Intellects.
Yeah, absolutely. First, thank you for inviting me again, and I'm really happy to be here. And congratulations for so many successful episodes, and well, and joining the Ex Machina DAO. By the way, so yeah, last time I was presented as part of the Brainstems team. That is still moving along. We just went through a rebrand from Brainstems to Intellects, which is at the end of the day a better way to represent what we are doing. Nothing too strong change, but it's just that we understood, and we adapt to the agent economy that is ongoing today. So the easiest way for me to tell what is Intellects and what we are doing is that we are creating the infrastructure for secure and scalable AI agent collaboration. We are hearing more and more about agents, AI, autonomous, and sometimes it's a little bit hard, to understand what that means. How companies can build on top of that. In particular, what we found and what we are solving is that it's needed to have a foundational infrastructure where we are kind of bridging what happens between probabilistic way of executing and running agents with deterministic blockchain systems. So on one side, we are providing everything around registering assets such as data, AI agents, models that are behind those agents, which is blockchain based. But it's really important also to have the support um, to understand, like when an agent does a particular task, when he executes a particular task, to be able to trace that back and to reward all the different contributors on an open system for that to happen. And particularly not just thinking as a single agent, but more thinking as crew and swarm of agents, where there is not like a deterministic way of thinking. It's not like agent one, agent two, agent three. It's more like you throw a problem to a swarm of agents, and they are defining what's the best strategy and then running the execution. So
And do
that
you
brings a
think
lot of
that there
different
is a
problems.
big gap actually in there, or you are
I
seeing it that?
I see the biggest gap is first on the way we are thinking on agents, and I'm telling this from a from a software engineer standpoint. Just
Yeah,
as
go
a
ahead.
start, we usually think on a procedural way of doing things. Like, well, first you need to do this, then you need to do that. If that happens, do that. Agent doesn't think that way. That they don't proceed that way. There is a probabilistic way of executing. So it might happen that sometime they do 1 2 3, but sometimes they will do 9 8 7. So that brings a different way of thinking. Just with one agent, when you start thinking on multiple agents that are contributing, collaborating with each other, the challenge is bigger, and it's harder to solve, like the way they speak, the way they communicate each other, how they interpret. And that's a big part of what we are solving from our protocol. So yeah.
And now I'll go to Ed.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, thanks for the invite. Happy to be here. So, like, a few words about what we are building is essentially we're like a decentralized bandwidth infrastructure. So, if any business needs to like buy some servers to go into the internet, for example, like route their users' traffic because they have VPN, or they need to scrape data from some website because they AI, that's like our main case. And what we are doing different from like all other centralized providers is that we are not actually building our own infrastructure. That's like the DePIN part comes in. We are actually connecting lots of data centers and user devices to one platform, providing like that one window into networking services. So it would be easier to scale, it would be more affordable, and it just like makes lots of DevOps lives much easier than it is right now. So, and on the other hand, we allow anyone who has like a telephone or laptop and internet connection, or maybe they have like a server, to monetize that internet connection, like earn a few bucks on top of that. And of course, for like data centers and other businesses, it's much more than that. Yeah. And like following up on the topic that we are discussing, so like what hinders the adoption of DePIN, I would say that one of the main things that we are not seeing right now in DePIN space is like uh, enough focus on sales and business development, because we have like lots of DePIN projects that are B2B focused and they need to go out in the world, get some clients, onboard those enterprises to the infrastructure to start earning real revenue. And I think we have solved this supply side in the last few years, and we have like lots of projects that like connected enormous amounts of like CPUs or GPUs, like Ethernet, Aether. And right now, what we all like as a sector need to focus on right now is to go out in the world and start building those like sales team and getting more and more clients.
Awesome. And that thought, I will take it to Ehsan.
Yeah,
And
hey,
but before
thank
that, a
you.
bit of an introduction, and then jump right into that question.
Sure, yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me here. It's always great to brainstorm with other builders, actually. So I'm Hassan. My background is technical, as you know. I've been in tech for more than 20 years, and in AI actually since 2006. It was neural network back then. And like 4 years ago when we started functionland, the problem that I was seeing, it was just the start of the AI hype, like a few people were talking about it. And the immediate problem that I saw was uh, at, even right now, we are relying on the central servers like AWS, these central servers, for resources and infrastructure that supports the AI, like everything about AI. And right now it works, but the amount of data that we will be generating in the next few days, it will be exponentially higher, nothing compared to what we are generating today. And how many data centers AWS wants to build. A lot of billionaires are now pouring money into building data centers, but again, how many data centers they want to build? It's not scalable. So what we thought was to tackle the problem of resources of infrastructure actually from the root. The first problem is data storage. Where are we going to store this amount of data? And the path that we took was how Airbnb scaled hotels, how Uber scaled taxis, empowering everyone to participate instead of just being a user. So that's like the core of functionland. It builds this protocol that you can install on your device, rent out the storage of the device, and everything else is taken care of by the protocol. Aggregating the storage of these devices, encrypting the data, replicating the data to ensure if some of the devices go offline, you still have access to your data, and SDKs and APIs for app developers to create applications because that's how we interact with our data. And then we also created our own hardware to support the network, like dedicated node hardware. And we opened it to other protocols to also run on our hardware as a DePIN aggregator. And lastly, last week actually, we also tested the DeepSeek local AI on our hardware to enable running these AI algorithms locally on your machine instead of connecting to another server that you don't know where it is.
Do you think that with more AI coming, I mean, there is always a complaint or concern about storage in particular, making it decentralized, that whether or not my data will be available, you know? So they seek safe refuge in a centralized entity like AWS, right? But when compute started coming into the market, people realized that this could be perfect because I don't have to rely on in long term in case something goes wrong. It's not a big deal to switch. Do you see that after AI started getting very popular and came into the limelight for common companies, that storage has taken the priority right now? That should I keep my trained data in a centralized agency, or would go back to decentralization? Do you
So
think?
I think that was a question to me, right?
Yes.
Just to be sure. Okay. Yes, the thing is, after this AI hype, we are seeing a lot of companies that want to move away from AWS because the amount of data that they are storing is now to a level that the pricing doesn't make sense for them. So they are looking for cheaper alternatives, but not just the pricing; it's also the privacy. A lot of these companies, they are even banning access to these AI algorithms to ChatGPT or DeepSeek, because of the concerns around privacy, where are we sending our data? So that's, that's where we are seeing high demand from corporations, from companies, from even blockchains that are right now hosting their data on AWS to migrate their data to the centralized chain. And in terms of the mindset, as you said, a lot of people still think that these central servers might be safer, but that takes some time for us to prove otherwise. But it's the other way around. In both privacy and reliability, decentralized network is more private, more reliable because there is no single point of failure.
Absolutely. Um, Last but not the least, um, yes, Edo, please go ahead. Hello, hello. I think you're muted. Okay.
Is it me?
So,
Was it me?
no, our
Uh,
HMN.js, but I think he's muted. Okay. No,
maybe
no
he's a
problem.
robot.
Maybe he's a robot. Proof you are a human. If Okay, 1 minute. I am going to unmute you.
All right.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's better.
Did I
Yeah,
mute you in between? Okay.
yeah. It's hard to prove I'm a human with my voice only these days, but yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
guys.
very natural, man. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to replicate by an AI. I can confirm that. But I leave it to
Yeah.
you,
Hi.
Sam.
Hi. It's thanks for the invite. I'm Eric. The project is human. You can find it as at html.is, the profile name I have here. So yeah, nice, nice. I'm meeting everyone for the first time. So yeah, great to hear of all of your projects. We are really solving a different issue, but on very much on the same lines of like with all the AIs and agents being developed and swarming the internet. So at this first phase, we are solving two problems. Problem number one, like AI bots have just completely invaded Twitter and all of social media, frankly. For example, just crypto Twitter, if you followed it lately, it's just bots racing to tweet to each other in the replies of anyone with decent amount of followers. I think that's partly why these spaces are so great. That like here at least you still have humans. You can trust what you're hearing. But yeah, with the voice models getting so good and also the video models these days, these will be gone soon too. Uh, so yeah, we have a product out there to solve that. You can go right now to hms.is and anonymously verify your Twitter account with World ID and get a certificate that proves that it's a human behind the account.
How does it? What is your association with Twitter, or is this completely independent and third
So
party?
far, it's completely independent. We're collaborating with World ID, and we are like obviously uh, in the long run aiming to natively integrate this to all the social medias. Twitter being the first one. There they will like the blue check marks and everything. As you maybe have noticed, it's not an adequate solution for this. We really need something that can like day in day out verify that this is now a person behind the screen.
Maybe we
Anyways,
will also send.
yep.
Maybe we will also send ex machina's robots to have this
Yeah,
robotic
it's
one.
fine that there are will be all kinds of agents, but it would be fair to know who's who, and that's what we are fighting for. Basically, there's so much incentives to pose agents as or AIs as humans to push some fake agendas and whatever fake news. So we really need to know who to trust. And then yeah, the same problem is happening in blockchain. It's not so visible. It's not so on your face, but you can look at the project, do your research, and the project looks solid. Thousands of followers, hundreds of holders. But as soon as you put in a bigger buy, turns out it's just the one guy with a bot swarm, and he can press one button and then hundreds of uh, fake accounts dump on you. So we also have a product to solve this. It's HMN. The ticker is HMN, and the token is integrated with World ID, and it can verify its holders being anonymously as being real human, and it can tax bots and distribute the proceeds to verified human holders. Reward programs, or by burning HMN. And we're actually just launching a reward program today, so do check the site. There can be quite we're very small still, so to like launched a month ago, so you're very early and probably not many people competing for the rewards. And yeah, it's really interesting to like from technological standpoint here what you guys are building. I think like in the long term we are also really like building towards this future where there are a lot of agents swarming around and doing their jobs for someone or for each other. And we're building a financial system that can like a safe haven for humans at the point when the bots get so fast and so good that it might be difficult for many of us to add value in that ecosystem. It could be good to have some financial system where you can only trade between humans.
Beautiful. Now, I'll come back to the question, which is actually a bit of a bother about mass adoption, and
Mhm.
maybe you can take that first. What do you think is the hindrance for mass adoption in DePIN? Why the progress is slow?
Well, I'm not super experienced with DePIN, but I think it has the same difficulties as many decentralized projects. Like if you compare to centralized, like the normal corporate structure, uh, it's much easier to control to make like decisions and move to a direction with like someone decides that this is where we're going. It's distributed in all hands, and you're just like then the next hour everybody is moving to that direction. Versus in a decentralized world, you have a DAO, and there is no like often there is no strong leader to take the project to a direction, and then it's also often the participation of each participant can be a little bit more vague. Like someone is just doing it part time or like hobbyist here and there. So I think that makes a very different kind of way to organize, and maybe not so efficient for all tasks. So I think in the very like long term, in like 10 years time, we will see that the decentralized way of things is works for certain problems and certain challenges that really benefit from the robustness and trust that it can provide, while other things will remain centralized. I think now you're muted. At least I saw your.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I think I muted myself. Okay, so Esan want to go next? Please
Yeah,
answer this.
sure. So, like in my opinion, most of DePIN projects, they are seeing the problem 10 years ahead of the mainstream. So that's the time, I think the normal time that it takes for any new technology to take the footing in the mainstream. So we are going slow, but Bitcoin was going slow. Like it took it 10 years for the mainstream to at least, and it's still not. Like we're still not there with even with the Bitcoin. So like it takes time for the problem that the most Bitcoin projects are solving for the market to realize it. And I think that's the main thing to do. Right? That's the main reason that we are not seeing that mainstream adoption yet. As you said, like we all we've been building for years now, but we are still early stage. Like all of projects that are building in blockchain are early stage. So to be honest, I don't see it as a problem. I think it's the normal journey that we are all navigating.
So Omar wants to add.
Yeah, I mean this is a recurrent topic, not just for DePIN but blockchain in general, right? Um, we do a lot of job to make it as much as complicated as possible, it seems, for regular users. From the very start point, when you need to use any decentralized service, you need to create a wallet. You need to have a wallet. That's kind of the first friction that we are still a bit far from solving. Um, and I know it's not specific to DePIN, but it's a first point that we definitely need to find a way to solve it. And the other part is that we kind of assume that this is between Web3 users, right? Um, so thinking first, we think on different networks, and they're all separate. So that brings a lot of complexity sometimes when you think on solving a business problem, because business people, they don't care about the technical problems in general. They don't care about if there is an AWS behind it, if there is a Microsoft Azure cloud or whatever. They just need to solve their pain. And and immediately when we are trying to speak about our solutions, like, well, look, this is decentralized, like there is no single point of failure. You can have it for very cheap, but it's like we need to connect the business requirements and the business needs, to the reality. Like they will not speak the same language that we are trying to speak ourselves. So yeah, I don't have a solution yet, but definitely something we need to keep working on, and look and understand. Like having reduce the gap. Understanding. Business people, they have particular problems. We have technical solutions, but we need to cut the bridge a little bit more.
I think you have highlighted one most important thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
while we are working on more complex aspect of blockchain, I think the innovation also has to go how to conceal that. I mean, how many people know about HTTP or HTTPS protocol, right? And why should they care?
Exactly.
They should know that if they type the website URL, and it should fetch them the result, right? So I think somewhere we made blockchain a bit developer oriented. Like I always say, like we have, like, those developer way of checking the HTML source code, right? We made the entire blockchain UX that way, right? And don't get me started on Polka.js, although like MetaMask is improving, right? Mauricio and I have good relationship there, right? So I think
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead,
I
go ahead, Mauricio.
no, I agree. I think one of the biggest problems is still like the usability, like the UX complexity and so on for like real mainstream adoption, right? Like even in DePINs, like there's a few DePINs out there, like Silencio is doing a great job where like it's quite simple, but even if you have hardware, right? If you're setting up a hotspot, like you're already excluding a lot of people. It doesn't might not seem technical to us, but to some people, like just doing that is already quite complex. So then connecting it to your app, making sure you have a wallet, transferring your tokens, and maybe you have tokens, but you haven't KYC on a centralized exchange. The token's only trading on certain ones. Maybe you're in a jurisdiction where you can't access. So access is also becoming a problem now with like MiCA regulation, for example, and so on. Like they're delisting stable coins. So it's always evolving. And like we're getting a little bit better, but yeah, it's we still got a long ways to go until we can like really onboard like your everyday person, right? Like our mothers won't be able to do this stuff that we're talking about right now. So until we get to that point, we won't really reach
I
that
think we
stage.
need to keep the UX, as Mauricio said, so simple for anyone, right? And for that to work, I think there should be regulatory clarity. People often misunderstand what it has to do with regulatory clarity, right? Look, in some of the campaigns, I wouldn't mention, but 54% of the population of the world are excluded. How are you going to create mass adoption if you exclude US, if you exclude China, if you exclude India, right? And
We should get rid of exchanges.
right,
Centralized exchanges would be a good
right.
start.
So what happened?
If everything's on chain, it would be so
Yeah,
much easier,
everything
right?
should be like in a way that everything should be on chain, and yes, like you cannot punish the good guys because there are some bad guys, right? You always got to fight hard. It seems like the regulators and governments are outsourcing the job of this to to the project owner. Like you are innovating, right? So you got to find it out, and not the other way around, right? So I think some of the regulators are catching up, and that's very important. Where I'm calling from right now, yeah, regulators in Dubai is one of the regulators that is thinking ahead, and I'm sure things have started already working on it. And second thing is we need to probably do away with this bridge and this and that complex concepts, right? And one of the things we are experimenting is on-chain account abstraction, simplicity for the farmers. So the farmers don't know the underneath technology. Like just use your email, get into the wallet, and we don't even want to call it a wallet, right? We're just calling it a super app, and they're saying, okay, we got into the app and we magically see Ex Machina's token there, right? And that's great. This is the way we possibly can do mass adoption, but still it is comparatively slow because educating them and we are also finding it difficult to explain to Apple and Google why this application is like that, which is again bringing back the same question, like, um, do we think that DAO could have the answer? Do you see that, Mauricio? Um, that
For what? For what
for
specific problem?
decentralization and efficiency, do you see that DAO could be an answer?
Um, in some things, yes. Some things, no. Like when you decentralize, you kind of trade off some efficiency, right? Because you're giving more governance rights to more amount of people. So if you want to be efficient, the more decentralized, the harder it is, right? So there's like a balance as well. And there's always, like, especially starting out, I think there needs to be a balance between um, like how decentralized in terms of the governance, right? You have to have like there's a lot of tooling already built. Like for example, there's like these things called optimistic, like plugins called optimistic dual governance, which allows like a DAO delegate or a group of DAO members to make proposals that can be vetoed. So the community can say, no, we don't want that to pass through, but they don't have to go through the whole quorum governance process, and it could be executed as long as the community doesn't vote it out. So if it gets accepted, then it just has a time lock of like 7 days and then it goes through. So there's like tooling that we're building and it's being developed that actually does help. And I think it could be really good for the governance of like what we're talking about, like robotics, AI, and different products that we don't want like just a few parties to be able to control. Like OpenAI, for example, would be nice if there was more transparency on what's going on back there and all of that. I think DAOs could really, yeah, could be a big help as we go into like this age of AGI and so on. I think it's one of the best solutions available.
Do you guys think that decentralization is slowing us down in decision making? Let's go into fundamentals right now. Do you think, Ed or Omar? Ed, yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I think definitely. I think like lots of teams are super focused on decentralization, and that's like their main concern. And I think what we really need to do with crypto and decentralization is like take the best parts that make our product stand out and make it better, and like focus on them. For example, like weird being like we take like only two main pieces that I think crypto does like best of all. It's like user incentivization and the ease of payments and how you could like actually jumpstart your uh, geographical audience and go worldwide at the ease of like a few days. And the another thing is like the transparency, like what we've talked about today. That is like super important part, and that is also like a major benefit blockchains give us is like providing the transparency not only on the payments, but also what happens on your protocol inside and how you distribute rewards, how you work with your like clients, and how the data is processed. I think like if you take only what you really need to propel your product into the bright future, that's where it like helps and makes sense. And if you feel like this part doesn't like really make sense for you and it like slows you down a bit, I think you just cut it off and go on.
Yeah, something interesting Ed was mentioning, and it's part of the infrastructure we are providing, and it's understanding what is the best that you can get from the decentralization, and in particular what you cannot solve without decentralization.
Yep.
When it comes to, in our case, when it comes to agent collaboration, there are topics like if you have an agent that is deciding to use two other three agents that come from an agent marketplace, and or he can choose other three, you need to reach to a consensus. Now, how that decision is made, in a transparent way, and how do you ensure that the people that contributed to that agent, to those agents to exist, they get rewarded. Um, so suddenly you have a mechanism that is working autonomously, that you need to ensure that you can trace everything back, you can reward, but ultimately the decisions that are being made, you want to ensure that it's in a fair way, and nobody's tricking, so you have a combination of the best aspect you can get from a blockchain standpoint or a blockchain infrastructure, without trying to put on decentralization every single aspect of your product and your platform. Just take the best, take what you cannot, you cannot do anywhere else, or any other way, and and you will be fine. No need for forcing stuff to be decentralized.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is good, very valid. I couldn't agree more, Omar. Like, more importantly, a hybrid model to look at a complete workflow. Where are the engagements happening? And see that component requires a deep participation of more minds, and that's where you require decentralization. If it is transparency required, you require decentralization. But if it is decision making, which you think that in some way you can maybe concise it and take opinion, that could work. Mauricio, do you already see that such things are coming because you are building DAO already? And like, are you approaching a hybrid model already, or what are you working on? If it is easy to disclose now,
Yeah. So we're working with different DAO units and then delegate them certain powers, right? So like there's the North Star Council, which is basically responsible for supervising the DAO's direction and long-term strategy. Some of the founding members and bigger core contributors. Then there is like a scoring committee, right? So these guys are more in charge of due diligence and checking out the proposals coming through, giving their feedback, and then people can basically delegate their votes to them. So a lot of them are well-respected VCs and advisors in the industry. So they essentially have their own tasks, right? They're like looking at the proposals and giving feedback and proposing, and while giving a vote for each one. And that's before it goes on to actual on-chain voting. Then we have like an execution engine, which is more in charge of like deal sourcing and general operations. Then we have a DAOs lab. So we're splitting them into different you could call them sub DAOs. And then these all have like their own permissions, and some can have their own budgets. So they don't have to go through all of this governance to just use resources or allocate funds to certain things. So this is a way we're kind of doing it. So breaking it down into specialized units with their own kind of processes and procedures and governance. So not everything has to go through the big on-chain governance proposals. That is only when we want to move funds out of the DAO's treasury, right? Where it involves all stakeholders and we're making like a big investment or taking something out of the treasury. Then it's like that's more of a on-chain vote where we do want the decentralization and we do want people to have to do the whole governance cycle to be able to move funds, right? So yeah, you just got to build systems to try to stay agile. Um, and then as like a safety parameter, we integrated that optimistic dual governance as well. Like they say, there's something that needs to get done very quickly, and we need to allocate funds, or we need to, maybe there's a really good deal, like let's say Figure AI, we can invest in them, for example, and there's a really good deal, and the DAO wants to do it. Maybe instead of doing the whole governance proposal, that DAO unit that has this optimistic dual governance can just propose it, has a 7-day time lock. If nobody votes it out, if the community doesn't vote it out, then it just passes. So you just have to kind of work with it and kind of, make a balance of
Yeah,
decentralization
yeah.
and
I think
efficiency.
I think that balance is essential, especially when you are looking at that. Wherever you require speed, you probably can create probably a smaller team of decision makers rather than giving it to general public. Correct. This question will be very interesting for Martin. You guys have decided to do completely decentralized database. So what is the thought process? Why did you see that there is a gap and that need addressing?
Well, first of all, let me just say that our SDK database is actually not yet decentralized. It is ran in-house here at Orochi Network. It allows to prove data without without I'm sorry, I lost the word. Without letting the people outside know the sensitive data inside. And so I think that
Almost like zero knowledge proof, right?
yeah, it uses zero knowledge proof, which is why it is called ZK database. Yeah, and I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Like, why did you think where is the gap? Like, so give us some of the use cases so that the users can correlate with why it is needed.
Well, I mean, it is built on top of the MongoDB database, and which is used quite. It is used quite commonly. So the ZK database can. I think that the use cases for it are quite. They are very very broad, and it includes DePIN projects as well. The database can be made public, allowing anyone to read and query the data. It can be set to read only, and it can be set to just private and controlling who can access and query the data. And it can always prove that the data is correct and it is there on chain thanks to the zero knowledge proof. So but I don't really see like how that is related to the balance of decentralization. But obviously, the ZK database was it was the idea. It was the product, the brainchild of our CTO, Chirohiro. So obviously, it is centralized in some way. You need a small group of people like to to start the product, start the company, start a project, and I think that the only way to make that decentralized is just slowly and gradually make it, DAO based or decentralized. So maybe there will be a possibility when our solutions will be truly decentralized, and we will let the users outside of this company run the nodes, for example. But right now we are, still having it in our hands because we are actually the ones who have the clearest idea on how this product should be handled, how this product should be used, how it should be developed. And I think that if Orochi Network was was DAO based since the beginning, our product and our vision, our direction would be very very different from now. And there's actually a case study for this. I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, Uniswap used to be corporately managed as well, and then they just slowly and gradually
Yeah,
transitioned into
yeah,
DAO.
yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, it is just an add-on, and I totally agree with you guys that not all aspects of the project should be decentralized.
I think you guys are going through it without you really realizing it. That balance, and that's why I threw the question to you. It's important to know when you said that data is verifiable, right? How are you verifying those data? Who is
So
verifying those data?
who is verifying the data? I mean,
Yes.
um, Who is verifying the data?
Yeah.
I mean, um, I'm sorry, I might have to look into this one. Who is verifying data? I don't really understand the question.
Okay. We
Okay,
move ahead.
can you move on for now?
Yeah. We may move ahead and we'll look at something else.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we take some, oh, we are already our cut of time, 5 minutes, guys. So we got to take some quick parting thoughts before we go. So who goes? Omar, go next. You are the one. Always going to give your parting thoughts. Oh, time
Sure,
runs,
sure.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. But that means we are enjoying it. Um, yeah, final thoughts. That's a tough one. I've been trying to make agents do the work I needed them to do all day. So final thought would be to ensure that AI does what we need. And yeah, ultimately we are here to build stuff that people is going to be able to use. I remember when I started working on blockchain like a couple of years ago, like 2016 or something. Um, Something that was really interesting was, the that aspect of giving power back to the people, right? Like you are able to control your information, you are able to control your finance, you are able, you know. And today, speaking about AI agents, automation, and all the things that will come in the future that might scare us a little bit, you know. I want to be sure that we are providing the right tools also to ensure that we have the right access and the right control, which is weird because we are always kind of against the control, but providing that kind of control to those AI agents and AI in general that people is building, people is putting available for everyone. So somehow, make the tools useful for the people and continue into that route.
Make the tool useful for the people. Ehsan, want to add something to it?
Hey, yeah, so I just wanted to add that, like it took Tesla 10 years for people to even hear the name of Tesla. Like right now, everyone is driving these electric cars, but the problem it was solving in 2003 probably was unknown to many. Like, why should I run this electric car when I can use gas? So uh, right now, we are all building, and I think the main thing that we should focus is gaining the trust of mainstream. Like we all know in crypto, there is a lot of scams happening because it's easier. Like there is no track, so it's the best platform for scam basically.
Did
But
CG already reveal his dog's name?
what is that? Sorry.
There is some talk today that CG is going to reveal his dog's name, and somebody would create, many people would create a lot of meme coins. That's
Oh
the world
yes,
we are in, right?
exactly,
So
exactly. And that makes gaining trust of the people harder. But it's always great to see, like these many projects that are really building something useful. And as I said, like it just takes time. Like all the problems we are facing in terms of trust, in terms of the UI, the UX, it just takes time for us to build and excel in that. And like even today, probably a lot of like these companies, they just are now growing on the trust of people. For example, Apple, what problem they solved when they removed the earplug from their phone? Nothing. People just trusted them, right? So they just write them to the next product. So that's, I think, the main thing. Like we need to focus on gaining the trust, and the time solves everything else.
trust and time. Mauricio, what do you want to add?
Trust and like going through the hard times. Like just staying
Just go with the
alive in the
flow.
hard times.
I think, like we mentioned, like not everything should be decentralized, but I think ownership should be decentralized. I think we still need to work as an industry on like making the UI better and move away from the centralized exchanges, which are actually just a pain point, and We just have some solid, trusted onboarding ramps, on and off ramps that are basically legally compliant, and we now have some legal clarity. Hopefully, with the US, we get that soon. And imagine a world where instead of universal basic income, we get universal basic ownership, and we can own these
Beautiful.
assets, these physical agents or these digital agents that are actually generating these revenues, and then you're getting paid that directly to your self-custody wallet. I think that's what we should drive towards as an industry, and that's basically it. Parting
Ownership
thoughts.
has to be decentralized. Ed, what do you want to add?
Well, yeah, I agree completely, and I think like the one of the best things about DePIN is that you can own things, and the monetization part and like the passive income part is very crucial and very exciting for us. I think like lots of projects that are working on like in the bandwidth space or in like CPU, GPU space, they're like creating a very cool opportunity for lots of users to easily connect to the network, earn some money, basically doing nothing. And at the same time, we are making like
Basically, doing
lots.
nothing is a good position to be in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on the other hand, we make like lots of bandwidth that is underutilized, and lots of not bandwidth, I mean hardware that is underutilized. We make like we make the market more efficient, and we make like the production supply chains more efficient, and that's very cool.
HMN, you guys,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, great hearing your thoughts. I think definitely we need to make the UIs more usable, and probably it's good to focus on not just decentralize everything, but it was interesting to hear that Uniswap had done it that way, because that was one of my thoughts, that is sometimes it's better to like start centralized and then after gaining adoption, like give it to the people's hands by decentralizing. And yeah, but talking about basically getting money for doing nothing, the our pioneering reward program is now live. Just updated on the site hmn.is, and we haven't even tweeted yet. So everyone who's hearing this is having a head start. It's a week-long competition of basically just doing a few transactions on Ethereum and growing the trusted network of the coin. And there is the first week has a $10,000 worth of HMN reward that's going to be distributed to top 3 pioneers. So go crazy.
awesome. I will share the link, drop in the Telegram, so we'll share with everybody, so we can prove followers of Ed that you can earn without doing anything.
Yeah.
Martin, you want to give some parting thoughts?
Oh, sure. So first of all, let me just say that I actually heard first of DePIN, or the concept of DePIN, like 2 years ago. It wasn't like very common back then, and it was very hard to believe actually, because the very examples that were given back in the day were about smart cities, about electric grids. It was quite big to be like become true, right? And since then, like. First of all, let me just say that the quality of DePIN projects has significantly like boosted, but I still think that in order to deepen, to make the mainstream and actually compete with centralized entities, the service itself and the infrastructure itself needs to like boost in quality, because let me just give an example, like a DePIN project like Aether. Okay, they are, they are delegating GPU resources for let's say gaming. Okay, I would still choose GeForce Now like any day. Okay, their service is not as good as theirs, and I would not choose them because just because they are DePIN, just because they are decentralized. So I think that the common users would not really like care whether it is decentralized or not, but rather the quality or the the broadness of the service. Like it is the testimonial of the other users. Like if 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 a service is used by a lot of users and it is said to be good, I think other users would have a bigger chance to actually leverage the service, not just because it is decentralized. So I think that in order for DePIN projects to actually make it and actually survive in long term, the service and the infrastructure should be it should be uh, sorry, I lost the word again. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. It is actually 12 a.m. here. Um,
No,
it
no
should be
worries.
it should be
Yeah.
improved. It should be improved.
Yeah, it should be. But I agree with what Martin said. End of the day, someone is not going to buy your service because decentralized is a feature. It could be an added advantage, but not for a common user, unless
I think
that
that
is a decision making topic, right? Um, for example, a lot of people prefer to send money, which I do. If someone is sitting in Colombia, somebody is sitting in Indonesia, I don't send fiat anymore. Not because I believe in decentralization. I think that it is efficient to send it, not to go through these banking channels. And then, yeah, you can sue me. I have good legal guys, right? Um, that this can reach on time. I don't have to answer 500,000 questions. Is this guy your relative? Is he your friend? How did you know him? Like for a couple of $100, you cannot answer 500 questions, right? So I'm a proponent of decentralization, but I'm using this service of sending money to someone I can quickly help using, a stable coin or any token only because it is convenient, not because it's decentralized, right? Actually, it's slightly inconvenient for that person because then he has to know how to convert back and things like that. But at least it works right now, right? So I agree. Okay, so I think mass adoption, the common consensus is that we need to improve in our UI and UX. This is one, and we need to also have not chase decentralization, bring balance. There is one exciting point which HMN said, that go bit centralized and over a period of time try to make DAOs and decentralization, and then keep a balance between robots and humans, right? So thank you
Yep.
guys for joining today. It was an amazing discussion, and I look forward to inviting you guys again and have exciting conversation. And congratulations to Ex Machina, fully sold out. And then you guys, HMN, I will share your link. So let's see, prove that we are human now. All right, guys. Thank you,
Thank
and have a wonderful evening or morning if you are somewhere in early. Okay. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Chris.
you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
hosting.
guys.
Thank
Bye
you
bye,
all.
Bye
guys.
bye, guys.
Take
Thanks,
care. Bye
guys.
bye.
Great chatting.